I'm one of the lucky ones. I made a little bit of money. I don't have 50 million to bet with you, but I do have 3 million to bet with you. So this is your offer. $3 million. You put 3, I put 3. Winner takes all. I'm 5 years out the ring. I'm a kickboxer.
Joe Rogan just revealed why so-called boxing prodigy Jake Paul declined Andrew Tate's big bout offer. And here's the thing, not only did he turn down the match, he dumped the $3 million to the curb. Yes, you heard correctly. What's going on here, then? Does Jake only box when the odds are conveniently in his favor, or is he afraid of losing? It appears that his alleged career is the only thing that is scripted here.
If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living out of a goofy, entitled dickhead like you. You know my name, Andrew Tate. Google it if you want to know more. Any day, any...
But don't worry, I'll explain every reason why Jake was turned down. Andrew Tate's vicious taunts and Joe Rogan's interference with Jake's play-it-safe approach this story is full with ego, drama, and some humorous facts that you won't want to miss. So fasten your seatbelt.
As a boxer?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And listen, what Jake Paul has accomplished is he's fighting old guys.
Yes.
He's fighting, all he fights are old guys and whatever. But listen, say what you want, he wins. And he makes money. So he's doing his thing, you know?
Work. Come on, boss. Get my bar. Come on, Steve. Come on, fight. Make it. Fight. Hey. 50 seconds. Come on, 20 seconds for one, Steve. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, work. Fit. Work. Hey, work. Hey, work. Good. Work. 10 seconds. Work.
As Jake Paul is the one who says he can easily defeat any opponent, but he now runs away as soon as test appears. And who could expose him more than Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate? Jake Paul very likely created the manual on how to avoid real competition while boasting about being the best.
Yeah, he'll never do that, though. He knows. He knows way.
One, he's under contract. And
he's
two,
not his own boss.
And two, he won't do it. He knows better. He might
and
say,
it's funny to say, like, yo, Conor McGregor is scared of Jake Paul and will never.
The internet went crazy when professional button pusher and former kickboxing champion Andrew Tate called out Jake. Tate wasn't playing games when he publicly challenged Jake to a fight, offering a $3 million wager and an anytime, anywhere ultimatum. However, Jake chose to hesitate rather than put on his gloves and enter the ring. But it was the awkward kind of hesitation that makes you wonder if he's desperately texting his public relations team to justify his actions.
Got left with somebody like me. He's mentioned me before, and there'll be people out there saying, oh, Carl Froch's talking about himself. He's after a payday. Listen, I'm not after a payday. I'm doing all right. There's no problems with my finance.
Saw Jake's incredible comeback against Mike Tyson, the 57-year-old retired legend who hasn't been at his best since the days of VHS recordings. In his infinite wisdom, Jake concluded that rather than take on someone like Andrew Tate, who is not only in fighting shape but also unpredictable in his threat, it would be wiser to box Tyson. Yes, it was a premeditated maneuver, but fear was the one thing that stood out the most. He is incapable of engaging in a planned battle with Andrew Tate, as we all know.
So when you see some of these crossover fights, obviously I know that you and Jake Paul have had your disagreements. Do you think that Jake's gotten better as a boxer?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And listen, what Jake Paul has accomplished is he's fighting old guys.
Yes.
He's fighting, all he fights are old guys and whatever. But listen, say what you want, he wins. And he makes money. So he's doing his thing, you know?
Let's not pretend that Jake Paul has never escaped an uncontrollable altercation before. Tyson, a retired heavyweight with enough notoriety to sell tickets but not enough speed to be a serious threat, has been a master at picking opponents throughout his boxing career. He has faced Double-Check, former basketball players, and retired MMA fighters who have never boxed. Even Jake's most devoted followers are beginning to recognize the pattern. On his podcast, Joe Rogan didn't hold back from criticizing Jake, pointing out that his strategy is to stay away from people who could actually beat him. He is battling elderly, small men. Jake Paul does not want to fight Andrew Tate because Tate is younger, faster, and far more unpredictable than any opponent Jake has faced, Rogan stated, summarizing what everyone else was already thinking. Rogan even went so far as to say that Jake's hesitation to take on Tate demonstrates that he is more concerned with maintaining his record than establishing himself as a capable fighter.
There's one cage. Jake Logan you, Tristan, who comes out alive?
You know what? I'm trying so hard to not start internet beats. I'm really trying not to.
You could say Jake and Logan, man.
Bro,
Don't worry about it.
No, I can't lie. Bro, I'm going through life. I'm trying to live peaceful now. I've got Fed agents in my house. Matrix is after me. I'm just trying to live peaceful. But of course, I have absolute faith in myself and my brother, and I know what we've been through, and I know the kind of men we are.
Let's now take a moment to discuss Andrew Tate. This isn't some shady online celebrity hoping to make some fast cash. Tate, a former world champion in kickboxing, has a grudge and a point to prove. He practically dared Jake Paul to fight, not just challenge him. His $3 million wager was a statement rather than merely a publicity gimmick. Tate wanted to make Jake's refusal to engage in combat as obvious as possible. Tate also didn't stop with the first call-out. Once Jake Paul abandoned him, he went all out, calling Jake out once more and highlighting the painfully obvious. Fighting opponents he can script is the foundation of Jake's entire career. Being a fighter and training are two different things. Uttered one of the harshest realities Jake had ever encountered. Prime fighters destroy hobbyists.
Fighter, legitimate, badass motherfucker, strong mentality. I'm sorry, Tristan Tate is the weak link.
I say let's
He got a bad shoulder. He's shaped like a gingerbread man. I don't want no beef, but that's delusion.
PFO will set this up.
Uh-oh. A MMA double tag team match.
10 million for everybody.
You might have a
Jake's silence after Tate's second challenge was deafening for someone who never shuts up when it comes to marketing his battles. Jake now had nothing to say to his admirers, who had been pumped about the idea of a Paul Tate showdown. Since this tale is delivering more hits than Jake ever will in an actual battle, if this makes you feel like Jake was just rocked by a verbal 1-2 combo, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Let's dissect it. Jake Paul wanted to face Mike Tyson instead of Andrew Tate because Tyson is safer. Although Tyson is a legendary figure in boxing, we must not overlook the reality that he is 57 years old and has outlived his best years. A Tyson fight would sell pay-per-views because of Tyson's name, not because it would be a true battle, and Jake knew he could control the narrative. We are all aware that the fight was prearranged, and more significantly, he was aware that it would not jeopardize his well-maintained record.
You lose to an old man who's retired. I live in the real fucking world, Jake. There's a whole bunch of fighters out here who live in the real fucking world. Men who are dangerous and dedicated their lives to this sport and don't have a fucking fraction of the money you have because you managed to become a...
Contrast that with Andrew Tate, a fighter in his mid-30s and in great physical shape with years of experience in combat sports. Tate is unpredictable, skilled, and clearly not interested in playing Jake's game. If Jake walked into the ring with Tate, he wouldn't just risk losing. He'd risk being revealed as the hobbyist he accused him of being.
Come on, fight. Quickly. Hey. 50 seconds. Come on, 20 seconds to walk, Let's go. Let's go.
Joe Rogan once again didn't hold back when talking about Jake's decision to fight with Tyson instead of Tate. Jake Paul doesn't want to fight. He can't control, Rogan stated, cutting through Jake's facade like a hot knife through butter, and he's accurate. Throughout his career, Jake Paul has focused on maintaining control over the opponents, the story, and the spectacle. The one thing Jake cannot control is a genuine challenge, which Andrew Tate embodies. Jake was gravely incorrect if he believed his supporters wouldn't notice his dodge. The backlash was harsh and social media was ablaze with criticism. Supporters referred to him as a fake, a coward, and worse. Even some of Jake's followers acknowledged that it looked horrible for him to face Mike Tyson without interacting with Andrew Tate. This move could potentially haunt Jake for the rest of his career because the internet never forgets.
Best boxer on the planet is
Jake Paul.
Why?
I mean, who's doing it?
I mean, if Mike Tyson says, let's do this, are you down?
100%.
I'm gonna make like my girlfriend.
Would you fight Mike Tyson? Again, no, because he's now old, and it would be an absolutely tragic shame to knock out an old version of his prime self. That doesn't feel fair. Prime Tyson would have ripped me apart in a boxing match, so to beat him when he's past his prime feels dishonorable, and I feel dirty for doing that, so there's no amount of money on the planet that can convince me to fight.
Not to be overlooked are Tate supporters, who were more than eager to add their voices to the torrent of criticism that was saturating Jake's social media with reminders and taunts about his reluctance to face a true fighter. Naturally, Tate made the most of the moment by reaffirming his challenge and scolding Jake for being afraid. Jake had no answer to this masterclass in psychological warfare.
Known as a fighter in a way that he never will be. I'm known as a fighter in the way that if you throw me in a cell with a murderer, a rapist, and 2 drug dealers, people look at me and go, oh, hey, respect. He would have left with a higher male body count than his fiance. That's how he would have left.
The remarks made by Joe Rogan fueled the flames. Rogan not only revealed Jake's tactic, but he also totally destroyed it. He's staying away from youthful, competitive rivals. Every opponent Jake has faced so far has either been out of their prime, out of their weight class, or out of their depth fighting, Rogan observed, and it's difficult to argue with that judgment. Instead, Jake took the easy route, and Rogan wasn't going to let him off the hook. Andrew Tate would have given Jake the opportunity to silence his detractors and show that he's more than just a YouTuber with a respectable punch. In addition to harming his reputation, Jake Paul's choice to turn down Andrew Tate's offer of a fight has shown the fundamental flaw in his entire brand for years. Fans now see Jake for what he is, a businessman more interested in selling fights than establishing himself as a boxer. Jake has built his career on the appearance of being a courageous competitor, but this story has destroyed that image.
Jake Paul can fight. It's not like Jake Paul can't fight.
Yeah.
Jake Paul just won't fight anybody.
Jake Paul is a fighter. Jake Paul isn't incapable of fighting. Indeed, Jake Paul just refuses to fight anyone, and the uncertainty of where Jake will go next is always present. Does he continue to sidestep actual opponents and run the danger of more criticism, or does he eventually take on someone like Andrew Tate? His reputation will deteriorate the longer he stays away from fighters like Tate. No opponent has ever exposed Jake Paul as Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate have. The entire world is now watching as they expose the weaknesses in his armor. Jake can continue to act like he's the boxing industry's future, but as long as he avoids actual competition, that story will fall apart. It's only a matter of time until his empire of half-truths and hype falls apart completely unless he makes a shift.